Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more bedtime stories. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and what time it is. And if there's a story you'd like to hear next, I'd love to know that too.
I never thought Pizza Hut, of all things, would end up being the only thing standing between me, my kids, and the kind of ending people whisper about in true crime documentaries. But that's how it happened. And it didn't start with screams or chaos. It started the way real nightmares usually do. Quiet. Ordinary. The kind of quiet that creeps up on you so slowly you don't even notice you're drowning. Backstory. Before everything went to hell, before all this, I lived in a small town outside Cedar Falls, Nebraska. Not the cute postcard kind, more like old strip malls, a Walmart that closes too early, and a Pizza Hut that everyone swears makes the best pepperoni pan pizza in the state. I was a single mom of 3, Jonah, 11, Riley, 8, and my toddler, Evie. Their dad left years ago, not with drama, just vanished from responsibility like smoke. I worked double shifts at a motel off Highway 29, cleaning rooms nobody respected, wiping off things I don't even want to think about. Barely enough money, barely enough sleep, barely enough me left to give. So when I met Landon, I didn't think of danger. I thought of relief. He was handsome in that rugged, small-town way. Work boots, messy hair, a voice that made promises sound believable. He worked odd jobs, mechanic 1 month, construction worker the next. Unpredictable, sure, but he gave me attention, affection, someone to talk to at night. And when you're tired enough, affection feels like rescue. For a while, he was good to us. He'd bring pizza for the kids, joke around, help with homework. Jonah actually liked him. And for a boy who watched his father drift away, liking another man was huge. But you never really know someone, not until they know they have power over you. The slow rot. It started small, always does. Hey babe, maybe don't wear that top when we go out. Guys stare too much. Or, you don't need to go to your sister's every weekend. Just relax at home with me. Then, you don't gotta clock in every day. I can take care of stuff. Stay home if you want. It sounded like caring at first. Then like rules, then like orders. When he moved in, the switch flipped fast. He wanted to know where I was at all times, who I talked to, why I took too long at the store, why I looked tired, why I looked stressed, why I breathed the wrong way around him. He started drinking, hard liquor, cheap stuff from a broken man's shelf. He didn't get loud when he drank. He got cold. And cold is worse. Cold is controlled. Cold remembers everything you say. When he got into pills, God knows what, things spiraled. He would pace the hallway at 3 a.m., whispering to himself about shadows or footsteps no one else heard. The kids were scared. I was scared. But leaving wasn't simple. Not with how unpredictable he'd become. And especially not after what happened the night everything snapped. The night of the breaking point. It was mid-January. Snow piled up on the sidewalks. You could hear the wind scrape across the windows. Landon was slumped on the couch, TV blaring some conspiracy documentary he'd been watching on repeat. I walked over carefully. Hey, Landon, can we talk for a sec? He didn't look away from the TV. Talking right now, he muttered, voice flat. I mean, talk to me. He turned slowly like a hinge that needed oil. What? I swallowed. I think you need help. You're not okay. The kids are scared. I'm scared. We need some space. You breaking up with me? His tone didn't rise. It dropped. Scarier. I need you to leave tonight. He stared through me. Then he stood up, a little too quickly. His eyes were cloudy, his hands shaking. You ungrateful piece of... He didn't finish. He grabbed the glass ashtray and threw it at the wall behind me. It shattered. Evie cried from the hallway. Landon, stop. I backed up, but he grabbed my arm, hard. After everything I did for you, for your brats, he squeezed harder. You're not going anywhere. Then he pulled out a box cutter from his pocket. held it against my cheek. Not slicing, just threatening. Enough for me to feel the cold metal. You want to leave me? Then I decide how this ends. That's when the real nightmare began. The hostage week, he took my phone, unplugged the Wi-Fi, locked the back door, pushed a chair under the front door handle. He kept us in the living room for days. No bathroom privacy, no food unless he felt generous. He didn't sleep unless he passed out. And when he did sleep, I stayed awake making sure he wasn't dreaming up violence. He muttered to himself constantly, "They poisoned the food. They're watching us. Don't let them breathe too loud." The kids clung to me like baby birds in a storm. I kept telling them, "It's okay. Mommy's here," knowing damn well it wasn't okay. By day 6, we were hungry, starving, and Landon finally caved. "Fine," he said. "Order pizza. I'm starving." He tossed my phone at me like garbage. "But you sit right there," he added. One wrong click, and I swear. He dragged the blade of the box cutter across the coffee table, just enough to make a line, just enough to remind me. I opened the Pizza Hut app with shaking fingers. He hovered over me. "Get the big pan, pepperoni, no extras." "Okay," I whispered. He walked back toward the TV. My heart hammered. My fingers hovered over the delivery instructions box. I had seconds, maybe less. I typed the only thing I could. "Call 911, hostage, kids here, don't knock loud." And then I hit order. The rescue 15 minutes. Longest 15 minutes of my life. When the knock finally came, Landon stood up. "That better be my damn pizza." But the knock wasn't normal. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps, police knock. Landon froze, then erupted. "No, no, no!" He rushed toward the door, knife raised. But the moment he cracked it open, crash, police slammed it wide. "Sheriff's Department, drop the weapon!" He screamed, tried to run back inside, tried to grab me. But they barreled in and tackled him to the floor. The moment they cuffed him, my knees gave out. Jonah grabbed my hand. Riley held my waist. Evie tucked into my shoulder. The officers guided us outside into the freezing night. "You're safe now," one of them said softly. I cried harder than I've cried in years. After Landon was charged with everything under the sun, and the police told me, "Ma'am, whoever read your Pizza Hut message, they saved your lives." And I think about that every single day. That exhausted Pizza Hut employee who could have ignored one weird message. That person became our guardian angel. I've worked night shifts at a lot of places, gas stations, a couple diners, even a liquor store once, but nothing prepared me for what I went through at the Pizza Hut on Riverside Highway. And before anyone asks, yes, Riverside Highway is real. But the Pizza Hut, the people, the events, let's just say the night changed how I look at every late-night customer who walks through a door. Back then, I was 26. Still figuring out how to juggle bills, rent, and taking care of my younger sister, Rowan. She was 16 and going through that teenage phase where she pretended she didn't need anyone, but still left her laundry in the hallway like a breadcrumb trail. Our parents died in a highway accident when she was 12, and ever since then, I've been trying to balance being a sister and a stand-in mom. It was messy, exhausting, and half the time, I didn't know if I was doing anything right. But that night, I know one thing for sure. If I hadn't shown up for that shift, I don't know if I'd be alive. I always took the closing shifts, mostly because they paid an extra $1 an hour, and partly because Rowan slept over at her friend's house most weeknights anyway. Plus, the late shift meant fewer customers, less stress, and more time to breathe. At least that's what I thought. If I had known what kind of nightmare I was walking into, I would have quit that job the second I woke up that morning. That Tuesday evening was weird from the beginning. Not in a horror movie way, no creepy fog or flickering lights, just oddly slow, like the city had hit pause. Every restaurant worker knows that when a night is too quiet, it's not a blessing. It's the universe charging up something terrible. At 4:55 p.m., I slipped on my apron, tightened the knot behind my back, and clocked in. My co-worker, Jace, was already in the back checking the oven temps. Jace was 28, sarcastic as hell, but probably the most reliable co-worker I ever had. He wasn't one of those bro guys, more like a burned-out older brother type who had already accepted life was a long series of headaches. "Evening, Quinn," he said, glancing over the clipboard. "Yeah, my name's Quinn Mercer. Unique enough that people mispronounce it, but I've learned to live with it." "Evening," I said, hanging up my hoodie. "Looks dead." "Yeah, the universe finally given us a break." He paused, then added, "Which is exactly why I'm worried." We laughed, but something in his tone felt right. The first few hours were painfully slow. One dine-in couple, 2 carryouts, a delivery order with a name spelled so wrong it had to be fake, and then nothing. I wiped down clean tables twice, just to pretend I had something to do. By 8:45, we were half joking that the world might have ended, and no one told us. I wish that were the case. I know a lot of horror stories jump straight to the scary part, but the reason I was stuck in that place matters. After our parents' accident, we bounced between relatives who either didn't want kids or pretended they did to look good on Facebook. When Rowan started having panic attacks in 8th grade, bad ones, I realized staying in that chaos would break her. So I dragged us out, got a crappy 2-bedroom apartment, bought a used car that smelled like someone died in it, picked up whatever jobs I could. Doesn't matter how tired I was. Didn't matter if my feet felt like they were bleeding through my shoes. Rowan needed stability, routine, someone who didn't disappear. So yeah, I stayed at Pizza Hut way longer than any human should. And I think that's why what happened that night still boils my blood. Because someone tried to take me away from the one person who depended on me. Around 10:37 p.m., the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, expecting a student, a delivery driver, maybe a tired dad grabbing dinner. Instead, this man walked in. I still remember exactly how he looked. A long, greasy beard, hair shaved on the sides but uneven on top, deep eye bags like he hadn't slept in days, wrinkled flannel shirt hanging off him like he borrowed it from a scarecrow, and something else, something subtle but unmistakable, something unhinged. He didn't look drunk, he didn't look high, he looked wired. The kind of wired where your anger is already at a 9 before anything happens. He stomped to the counter, breathing through his nose like a bull. I put on my customer service voice, the same one every retail worker practices in the mirror. "Hey there, welcome to Pizza Hut. What can I get started for you tonight?" Nothing. No greeting, no eye contact, just a deep growl. "Extra large meat stacker. Make it right this time." I blinked. Did you place an order earlier?" "No," he snapped. "But I know how you people get. You screw it up on purpose so you can laugh about it in the back." I forced a smile. "Okay, well, let's go through it. 1 extra large meat stacker." "No," he barked. "Double pepperoni, triple ham, extra bacon, half sausage, half beef, cheese stuffed crust, and mixed Dr. Pepper and Coke with no ice." Jace, who had been stacking boxes behind me, froze mid-motion. I cleared my throat. "Sir, we don't have Coke products." "Then get some," he said flatly. I laughed for a second, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. "I can do Dr. Pepper or Pepsi," I said gently. "And the stuffed crust isn't available in extra large dough, but we can." He slammed both hands on the counter. "Are you stupid? Do you have any idea how to do your job?" My chest tightened. I forced myself not to back up. "Sir, I'm trying to help you. I'm just explaining what we can and can't." "Shut your mouth and make the damn pizza." His spit actually hit my cheek. I swallowed hard and nodded. "Okay, I'll make it as close as possible." "Not close," he hissed. "Exact." When he walked away to sit at a booth, Jace whispered, "That dude's not right." Yeah, I muttered, washing my cheek. Just get through it. But when I looked toward the booth, he wasn't sitting, he was staring, right at me, like I had personally insulted him by breathing. I made the pizza exactly how he asked. Well, as close as the system allowed. Double pepperoni, as much ham as the dough could handle, stuffed crust on a smaller dough just to keep him from exploding. Pepsi with a splash of Dr. Pepper. My hands were shaky the whole time. When it was done, I placed the box on the counter. Order up. He stomped over, yanked it from me, ripped open the box, scanned it like he was checking for bombs, then glared. This isn't what I asked for. It's the closest possible. His fist curled. Try again next time, he said, grabbing his drink. He turned and left. No thank you, no nothing. Just pure hatred radiating off him like heat. Jace muttered, Jesus, that guy's an asshole. I nodded, exhaling shakily. But the night wasn't over, not even close. At 11:52 p.m., I stepped outside for my smoke break. The air was cold, sharp. Riverside Highway was quiet except for the occasional truck rumbling past. I leaned against the brick wall, pulling my jacket tight around me. The door behind me locked automatically. Company policy. If I wanted back in, I had to knock for Jace. Halfway through my cigarette, headlights appeared over the hill. I thought it was our delivery driver, Mateo, coming back. But the car didn't have our delivery topper, and it wasn't slowing down. Damn, dude, I muttered, stepping aside. Take it easy. But the car didn't pass. It turned, hard, onto our curb. It didn't just pull into the lot. It charged, straight at me. At first, I froze. Then instinct kicked in. I dove sideways, hitting the pavement hard. Pain shot up my hip, but I didn't stop moving. The car skidded to a violent stop where I'd been standing seconds earlier. The door flew open, and he stepped out. The same man, holding something long, heavy, metallic, a wrench, a giant one, the kind used to fix semi-trucks, and he was screaming. You think you can fight out with me? You think I'm stupid? My throat closed. What? What are you talking about? You poisoned my food, he roared. You tried to kill me. What? No, He lifted the wrench and swung. Not at me. At the window next to me. Glass exploded. At the window next to me, glass exploded. I screamed and stumbled backward into the lamppost. He advanced. You think I don't know what you put in it? You think I can't taste chemicals? He yelled, frothing at the mouth. Tell me the truth or I'll crack your skull open. I lifted my hands. Sir, please, please stop. I swear I didn't. He swung again. Another explosion of glass. My legs wouldn't move. My voice wouldn't come out. I thought, this is it. I'm gonna die in a effing Pizza Hut parking lot. But then, a familiar engine screeched into the lot. Jace's old Corolla. He slammed his door open and yelled, Hey, leave her the hell alone. The man spun around. Stay out of this. This poisoned me. Back up, Jace said, holding his phone like a weapon. I'm calling the cops right now. The man screamed and charged at him. Jace dove behind his car door. The wrench came down, hard, metal against metal, a horrible crunching sound. Jace yelped, pulling his fingers away just in time. The man raised the wrench again. Jace threw himself inside the car, slammed the door shut, and reversed out. But the man didn't stop. He kept smashing the door, the window, the hood. Jace floored it forward, not to hit him, just enough to make him jump back. And he did. Barely. The man stumbled, snarling like an animal, then sprinted back to his car. Before either of us could move, he swerved, straight toward me again. I dove behind the dumpster. He missed, skidding, fishtailing, then tearing out of the lot, tires screaming. The aftermath and the arrest. We called the cops immediately, showed them what footage we had. It was grainy, blurry, the cameras were decades old, but the license plate was visible enough. They found him 3 miles away. When they arrested him, he kept yelling, "I didn't hurt anyone. Why are you arresting me? I didn't hit them." As if that excused everything else he did. The broken glass, the attempted vehicular assault, the threats, the terror. They charged him with multiple felonies. But even knowing he was locked up, I couldn't sleep for weeks. Every night I dreamt of the wrench, the car, his face contorted with rage. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw myself lying in that parking lot with my head split open. The reality of what could have happened, people tell me to shake it off or try not to think about it. But those people weren't there. They didn't see death coming at full speed across a parking lot. They didn't hear the metal smash inches from their hands. They didn't see their coworker almost lose his fingers. I still flinch when headlights swing too close to me. I still avoid late shifts when I can. I still check every car in the lot before stepping out. I know life goes on, but fear doesn't disappear. It lingers, like the smell of melted cheese and hot grease in that old Pizza Hut. Some nights, when Rowan falls asleep on the couch and the apartment is quiet, I catch myself staring out the window, half expecting to see a silver car waiting at the curb, engine idling, lights off, just watching. Because that night taught me something terrifying. You don't have to hurt someone to ruin their life forever. Sometimes all it takes is a wrench, a furious stranger, and a few seconds of blind rage. I never thought a minimum wage job would leave a mark on me the way a scar does. Quiet most of the time, but burning whenever you brush your fingers over it. Back then, I was 22, living in a tiny apartment on Birchwood Avenue, in a nothing special town called Raven Ridge, somewhere between Chicago and nowhere. I was splitting rent with my cousin's ex-boyfriend. Long story, but money was always short, and I needed whatever job I could get. So when Pizza Hut hired me as a closing shift worker, I said yes without thinking twice. My name is Nola Reyes, and this is the story I spent years refusing to tell out loud, but hiding it never made it disappear. Tonight, I'm finally saying it. I started at the Pizza Hut off Hartley Road the summer after my dad passed away. My mom had moved back to Texas to stay with family, but I stayed in Raven Ridge because, honestly, I didn't know where else to go. My dad used to say I was stubborn, like boots stuck in wet cement. Maybe he was right. That Pizza Hut wasn't the worst job I had, but it was definitely the most depressing. The place always smelled like warm grease mixed with sadness. Most days, you'd get a few regulars, a handful of tired parents, the usual DoorDash runners. But the reason people rarely lasted more than a month wasn't the customers. It was the manager. His name was Rylan Colt. Tall, pale, mid-30s, always wearing the same faded black baseball cap and that weird, too friendly smile, like a guy trying to look approachable, but only coming across as, don't get in an elevator with him. He never yelled, never cussed. Somehow, that made him scarier. Because people who never raise their voice, they raise their hands. Not physically, at least not at first, but they know exactly how to talk to you, so you feel trapped without them ever saying you are. He was like that. My second day on the job, I remember him leaning against the prep table eating breadsticks like it was a 5-star meal and asking me, "You got a boyfriend, Nola?" Not right now," I said, pretending the pepperoni slices needed arranging. "That's good, less distractions. Some guys get jealous when you work with dudes all night." I hadn't mentioned anything about dudes. In fact, besides me, every other worker was a woman. I didn't understand the pattern then. I do now. My schedule, 5:30 p.m. to close. Close meant midnight, sometimes later. It was usually just me and Rylan. Some nights, he barely worked. He'd sit in the office scrolling on his phone while I ran the kitchen, the oven, the register, everything. Other nights, he pretended to teach me things, standing too close, reaching past me when there was no reason to. And the comments. Jesus. Nola, you smell good tonight. Nola, I like when you wear your hair down. Nola, you got soft hands. You moisturize? I'd try to laugh it off. Sometimes I'd say, hey, can you not? But he'd act offended, like I was the rude one. Oh, come on, he'd say, smiling too long. You're too sensitive, girl. That's American workplace code for, I know exactly what I'm doing. It was the second week of October. Cold, rainy. One of those nights where you swear the sky is coughing instead of raining. I wasn't supposed to close. My coworker Kelsey had the shift, but her kid got sick at school, so Rylan called me. Hey Nola, be a lifesaver for me tonight? I didn't want to, but I needed the hours, so I said yes. That night ended up being dead. No customers for almost an hour. The dining area was already spotless. All that was left was kitchen cleanup, trash, and bathrooms. At around 11:20 p.m., I grabbed a rag, wiped down the prep tables, and said, Rylan, I'm gonna hit the restroom and then get the trash. He didn't answer right away. He was sitting on a stool, hunched over his phone. But when he looked up, something about his face looked off, like he'd been thinking about something for too long. Actually, he said slowly, can you get the women's bathroom done first? I had to tell a customer earlier we were short-staffed, so I didn't get a chance to check it. That's fine, I said, grabbing the cleaning cart. That wasn't unusual. He often made me clean the women's restroom, even when he did nothing all shift. What was unusual was the way he followed me. The light in that restroom always flickered, not dramatically, just enough to annoy you. I started with the sink, spraying the counter, scrubbing around the base of the faucet. Normal stuff. I could hear Rylan outside humming, some old country song. The creepy kind of humming. Like someone enjoying their own silence too much. I finished the sinks and moved to the stall. Everything looked clean. Hey, I called out. It's already done. Whoever came in earlier must have been neat. No answer, just humming. I stepped out of the stall. Rylan was standing in the doorway. Damn, Nola, he said softly. You're really good at this. He wasn't talking about cleaning. Thanks, I muttered, trying to push past with the mop bucket. He didn't move. Instead, he reached over, slowly turned the deadbolt on the bathroom door and said, let's take our time, yeah? That moment, that exact instant, my stomach dropped so hard I swear I heard it. Rylan, unlock the door. My voice cracked. Nola, relax, he said, stepping in and closing the door behind him. We're just talking. No, we're not, I said, backing up. Move, now. He grinned, not a movie villain grin, not a dramatic teeth-baring snarl. No, way worse. It was a small, patient, I've been waiting for this smile. You always act scared, he whispered, but you're not scared, you're just shy. I realized then, this wasn't the first time he'd done something like this, just the first time someone pushed back. He stepped toward me, and I moved back until I hit the stall door. Stop, I said, louder this time. Rylan, stop. He didn't care. He reached out, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me forward. Don't make this complicated, he said through clenched teeth. You know I'm good to you. I give you extra hours. I look out for you. That's not, let go of me, I screamed. He shoved me into the stall. I hit the wall so hard my shoulder cracked. Pain shot down my arm. Rylan shut the stall door behind us. You're not quitting on me, he whispered. Not tonight. I thought I was going to die. Not exaggerating, not dramatizing. If you've ever looked at someone and realized they didn't see you as human, you know what I mean? Something in me snapped. Survival mode. Pure instinct. I shoved him back with both hands, surprising him just long enough to duck under his arm and get out of the stall. He grabbed at my shirt, tearing the collar, but I twisted away, slammed into the wall, and reached for the only thing within arm's reach, the mop handle. I swung it hard. It cracked against his shoulder, and he roared in pain. You bitch! I didn't wait. I ran to the door, fumbled with the lock. My hands were shaking so badly the metal kept slipping. Come on, please, I whispered. It clicked. I flung the door open and sprinted out, slipping once on the wet tile, catching myself on the soda counter, then barreling through the kitchen and out the back door. Rain hit me like needles. I didn't breathe until I reached my car. Then, I broke, sobbing, hyperventilating. My chest felt like it was collapsing inward. I looked back through the blur of tears and saw him standing inside the restaurant, staring at me through the big front window, smiling, not angry, not scared I'd call the cops, just smiling, like he'd enjoyed it. I didn't go home right away. I drove aimlessly for an hour, shaking so hard I had to pull over twice. My phone buzzed over and over. Unknown number after unknown number. I didn't answer. When I finally got home, my roommate Doug was watching TV. "Dude, you okay? You look like hell," he said, half standing. "I got fired," I mumbled, collapsing onto the couch. He didn't buy it. Not after he saw my ripped shirt. Not after he saw how I couldn't even lift my left arm. He made me tell him. Then he called my mom. Then they both told me to call the police. I did. Barely. Between sobs. A detective named Mason Rogers took my statement. He had this calm, steady voice I hated but needed. A few hours later, they arrested Rylan at the store. He denied everything, of course, but they found messages on his phone, DMs to other girls, 2 former employees, even a minor. He'd been doing this for years. I quit Pizza Hut the next day, moved out of Raven Ridge a month later. For a long time, I couldn't even drive past a Pizza Hut sign without feeling sick. And today, even now, as I'm writing this, my hands still shake when I think of that smile through the window. People think the scariest things happen in the dark, but they happen in fluorescent lit rooms too, in workplaces, in bathrooms, in places where you think you're safe because everyone else seems fine. Predators don't hide in shadows. They hide in routines. They hide in bosses, managers, supervisors. They hide in people who act helpful until they get you alone. I survived, but a part of me stayed in that bathroom stall forever. If someone ever tries to hand me a Pizza Hut box again, I swear to God, I'll puke right in their face. I never thought a minimum wage job at a Pizza Hut in Ridgewood Springs, Ohio would be the reason I still can't sleep some nights. At 18, I had bigger problems. Finishing high school, helping my mom pay rent, making sure our electricity didn't get cut off again. A job was a job, and Pizza Hut was the only place that hired fast. My manager, Raphael, used to joke, "Man, you're on time more than the employees who got kids to feed." But he wasn't wrong. I needed those hours. My mom worked at a nursing home on the night shift, and my little sister needed school supplies every other week, it felt like. By winter, I had become their go-to closer and delivery guy. I didn't mind the late night shifts. The store had this comforting mix of garlic, burnt crust, and cheap cleaning spray that weirdly made me feel like everything in life was stable, predictable, safe. I actually believed that, until that one night. I was wiping down the front counter when Raphael tossed me a delivery slip. "Yo, Ivan," he said, "last run of the night, easy one. 1 medium meat lovers, paid online. Weird name though, for Lori Marston." I raised an eyebrow. Never heard that name before. New around here? One of those old neighborhoods near Maple Creek Road. Takes like 15 minutes tops. I groaned. "Bro, gas is like $5 a gallon." "Then chase a tip, man," Raphael laughed, tapping the slip. She left a note, said, "Please knock softly. Sick family member inside." Sounds polite as hell. Probably a big tipper. He wasn't wrong. Polite customers usually tipped better. So I packed the pizza in the bag, grabbed my hoodie from the back, and headed out into the cold. Ridgewood Springs winters always felt like someone slapped you with a frozen towel. My crappy '04 Ford Focus needed a miracle to warm up, but I didn't have the money for anything better. I turned on my playlist, a mix of 2000s rock and whatever emo stuff I grew up on, and started driving. For the first 5 minutes, everything was just normal. But then the houses changed. Streetlights got further apart. Mailboxes looked like they'd been hit by cars years ago and never fixed. Porch lights were off. No decorations, no holiday spirit, just darkness. Why does every horror story start like this? I muttered, trying to laugh it off. The GPS told me I'd arrived, but the house didn't look right. It was a one-story home with peeling blue paint, a sagging roof, and a yard filled with dead leaves. But the oddest part? Every window was covered from the inside with thick cardboard. No light seeped through anywhere. Only the porch light flickered like it was dying. Yeah, okay. This is totally not sketchy at all, I whispered. Still, I grabbed the pizza bag and approached the front step. Before I even knocked, the front door opened. Standing there was a woman, maybe late 40s. Curly hair, oversized sweater. Her eyes were wide, shiny, like she had been crying earlier. "You're right on time," she said softly. "Thank you for coming so late." Her politeness immediately killed some of my unease. "No problem, ma'am," I said, holding up the pizza. "Medium meat lovers?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Yes. Come in for a moment, sweetheart. It's freezing." I froze. In every training video Pizza Hut ever made, rule number 1 was, never enter someone's house unless necessary. But she didn't seem dangerous. And the slip did say, "Knock softly, sick family member." Maybe she just didn't want cold air to hit them. I hesitated, and she noticed. "Oh, sorry, no pressure. I just need to get cash. My card, it glitches." That made sense. "Okay," I said. "I'll stay by the door." She nodded and walked deeper inside, but the dim light behind her showed something strange. The hallway walls were scratched up, long vertical lines, like someone dragging furniture too big for the space, or something else. I shook the thought away, but then I heard it, a soft thump, then another, like someone lightly tapping the floor, followed by a whisper, "Hurry! Hurry!" My heart tightened. Was that her, or someone else in the house? The second person. "Ma'am," I called out. No answer. "Ma'am, you okay?" Instead of her voice, another voice, a man's, called from deeper in the house. "Just come in for a second. She needs help carrying something." Every nerve in my body stiffened, because Raphael told me one person ordered the pizza. Just one. And that voice didn't sound sick, or weak, or even friendly. It sounded eager. I stepped back instinctively. That's when the woman reappeared. But she wasn't smiling this time. Her eyes were completely flat, emotionless. "Come inside," she said firmly. "Please, it's important." Behind her, a shadow moved. Tall, broad, slow. My hands started to shake. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "Ma'am," I swallowed. "I'll wait outside. It's company policy." She tilted her head, way too slowly, like her neck was stiff. "That's unfortunate." And then she whispered, "He's already coming." My body reacted faster than my brain. I turned to leave, but before I touched the doorknob, a huge man appeared at the end of the hallway. His face was half hidden in the dark, but I saw enough. Pale skin, shaved head, massive shoulders, eyes locked onto me like I was prey. He took one step forward, then another, and in a low, gravelly voice he said, "Don't make this hard, kid." My heart exploded with panic. I shoved the door open and sprinted into the cold. "Hey!" the man roared, the door slamming open behind me. I fumbled with the pizza bag, threw it behind me, and dashed toward my Focus. My hands trembled so hard I dropped my keys twice before jamming them into the lock. Behind me, footsteps thundered down the cracked porch stairs. My breath felt like ice in my throat. I got in the car, slammed the lock, and looked up. He was already at my passenger window. His hand yanked the handle, twisting it so violently the plastic cracked. The woman was behind him now, standing still at the top of the porch steps, watching, smiling faintly. "Kid," the man growled, tapping the glass with one giant knuckle. "Don't be stupid." I twisted the key, praying the engine would start. The Focus coughed, stuttered. "Come on, come on, come on." He slammed his palm onto the window so hard, the glass bowed inward. Finally, the car roared alive. I threw it in drive. He shouted something. I couldn't hear what. The tires squealed, fishtailing on the icy patch as I tore down the street. My side mirror caught the last sight of the house. The woman standing perfectly still under the porch light. The man stepping back into the doorway. Like they'd done this before. Like I was just another try, another near success. When I burst back into Pizza Hut, Raphael thought I had been jumped. "Dude, what happened? You're white as chalk." I told him everything, shaking, stumbling over my own words. His face slowly drained of color. "You're calling the cops," he ordered. So we did. A sheriff's deputy showed up in 20 minutes, took my statement, and nodded slowly. "That area's complicated," he said carefully. "We've had some strange welfare calls over there. No proof of anything, but you did the right thing running." I asked what happened to them. If they'd checked the house. He gave a tight smile. "We'll take a look, but try not to dwell on it. Some things you're better off walking away from." Not exactly comforting. I quit Pizza Hut 2 months later, but I still think about that night. The cardboard windows, the whispering, the man's voice telling me not to make it hard, and the woman's final words before I ran. "He's already coming." Sometimes I wonder, if I hadn't turned fast enough, if my car hadn't started, if that engine had coughed one more time, would I still be here? Or would someone else be telling a story about a missing delivery kid who never made it home? I don't know. But I do know one thing. I'll never deliver to that part of Ridgewood Springs again. And whenever a house has all its windows covered, I don't even slow down. I never thought a minimum wage job at Pizza Hut would leave me replaying one night for the rest of my life like a cracked tape loop. But here I am, years later, still jolting awake whenever my phone buzzes after sunset. Back then I was 19, broke, stubborn, and trying to hold myself together after my dad passed away the year before. My mom worked double shifts at the hospital. I didn't want to ask her for money, so Pizza Hut became my lifeline. Gas money, food money, and honestly, a reason to get out of the house. I worked nights mostly, quieter, less chaos, and fewer annoying customers. Plus, I liked being alone on the road. Radio low, windows cracked, cool air hitting my face. Felt peaceful. The Pizza Hut I worked at sat on the edge of a small town called Hollow Creek, a place where the Walmart stayed open later than any other building and everybody knew everybody, or at least acted like they did. Our night crew was small. Me, my name's Jalen, Roxy, the assistant manager who smoked like every order stressed her out personally, and Corey, the dishwasher who talked like everything in the world bored him. Around 7:30 p.m. that night, the weather had shifted into that eerie, wet cold, where fog crawls low on the pavement like it's looking for something. Roxy kept stepping outside to stare at the sky and mumble, "Man, this weather feels weird, like movie horror weird." She wasn't wrong. The order that changed everything. Around 8:15, right after I finished boxing a triple meat pan pizza, the printer spat out a new ticket and Roxy groaned. Last name Maverick. Address is... Damn. She looked up at me. "Jay, this is out near Sycamore Hills." I froze a little. Sycamore Hills wasn't really a neighborhood. It was more like a half-abandoned stretch of old farmhouses, dried-up land, rusted fencing, and dark windows. People said most of the houses were foreclosed years ago. The few that still had lights at night were usually owned by people who didn't want company. But it was a delivery job. I'd been out there a few times before, and nothing weird had ever happened to me personally. "What did they order?" I asked. Roxy read it aloud. "1 large meat lovers, extra sauce, garlic knots, and a 2-liter. Cash." Cash was good. Cash meant tip. But then she said something that made me pause. "No phone number listed." Was it online? Nope. Called in. Corey, who had been wiping down trays, said from behind me, "Bro, if y'all get a creepy order, don't look at me. I ain't going out there. Last time I did, some drunk dude chased me with a rake." Roxy smacked his arm and handed me the insulated bag. "Just drop it and go. Don't do the whole conversation thing. You always talk too long anyway." I rolled my eyes, grabbed my keys, and headed out. The cold stung my face immediately, fog wrapping around my car like something alive. I should have trusted my gut when it twisted the moment I pulled out of the parking lot. The road to Sycamore Hills Hollow Creek looked normal at first, streetlights glowing soft gold over quiet houses. But once I turned down Sycamore Road, everything changed. No lights, no cars, just fog, thick as milk, swallowing the sound of my engine. My headlights barely cut through it. As I crept deeper onto the road, old farmland came into view. Wooden fences slumped like they'd given up trying to stand straight. Mailboxes leaned sideways, and houses looked like empty shells. I checked the address again. 213 Sycamore Hills Lane. Never heard of that one. The lane wasn't even paved, just dirt and tire ruts. When I turned into it, my tires kicked up mud and the fog seemed darker, like it didn't want me seeing what was ahead. Finally, I saw it. A house on a big stretch of land, blue paint peeling, one porch light barely flickering, and tall grass swaying even though the wind was dead still. As I parked, a weird feeling ran through me like static. Something wasn't right, but I reminded myself, deliver, get paid, leave. I grabbed the bag, stepped out, and walked across the creaking porch. Before I could knock, the door creaked open. Just an inch. I froze. Pizza Hut?" I called out. No answer for a second. Then, a voice, raspy, low, almost whispering. "Come in." My whole body tensed. "No, sir. I can just hand it to you right here," I replied, trying to sound casual. The voice responded, "I'm in the dining room. Just bring it in. I can't walk well." Something in his tone felt off, like he was forcing his voice to sound weak. And there was this slight echo, like he was not close at all but pretending to be. I stood there, swallowing the unease building in my chest. "Sir, if you can just come to the door, I'll hand it." "The dining room," he repeated, firmer this time. Straight ahead, door still cracked open, house completely dark behind it. Every instinct in me screamed no, but I stepped 1 foot inside anyway. Only one. I didn't cross the threshold. I just leaned in slightly, enough to see that the house smelled damp and dusty, like no one had lived there in years. In the darkness, I heard something faint. A piano. Soft notes. Slow. Repetitive. Not a full song. Just the same 5 notes repeating like someone practicing in the dark. I called out again. "Sir, you close?" The piano notes stopped. Silence. Then footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Coming toward me from somewhere deeper in the house. I stepped back onto the porch. "Sir?" I said again, louder now. The footsteps stopped too. Then something unexpected. Another voice yelled sharply from further inside. "Don't let him leave." My heart slammed into my ribs. The first voice immediately snapped. "Quiet!" I backed away fast, stumbling off the porch. Something moved behind the doorway. Fast, like someone rushing forward. I dropped the bag, ran to my car, fumbled the keys like an idiot. Behind me, I heard the door burst open all the way and hit the wall. Someone was standing there. Tall, dark silhouette. Couldn't see a face. I finally got in the car, slammed the door, and locked it. Then, the man on the porch shouted, "Jalen!" My blood went ice. How did he know my name? He took a step forward, and a second figure appeared behind him. Shorter, shoulders hunched like they'd been hiding in the dark. I floored it so hard, my tires spit mud everywhere as I tore back down the lane. What happened after? By the time I got back to Pizza Hut, I was shaking. Roxy's face went pale when she saw me. "Jay, holy crap, what happened?" I told them everything, all of it. Corey looked genuinely terrified. Roxy grabbed the ticket and called the number that placed the order. Number invalid. She checked the system. Jay, she whispered. This address isn't even supposed to be deliverable. It got flagged months ago as vacant property. I froze. You saying that house was foreclosed, she said. Like, officially. Nobody's supposed to be living there. The delivery bag I dropped outside? Gone. When I later checked the GPS camera footage on my car, something else was missing too. The camera froze for 12 seconds right when the doorway fully opened. Just static. The next day, police went to check the place. They found footprints, multiple sizes, leading in and out of the house into the woods behind the property. But the house itself? Empty. Not even furniture. No piano. No lights. Dust thick enough to track prints. Whoever was there had been squatting, watching the road, waiting. Police told us not to deliver anywhere near Sycamore Hills for a while, and I didn't sleep right for weeks. Sometimes, even now, when my phone buzzes after sunset, my chest tightens, because that man knew my name, without ever seeing me before. At least I hope he hadn't seen me before. I never thought the last week at Pizza Hut would end up becoming the memory that still wakes me up at 3 a.m., sweating through my sheets like I'm trapped back inside that moment. Back then, I was 20, broke, exhausted, and honestly, numb. College hadn't worked out. My mom's medical bills were stacking higher than our fridge magnets, and Pizza Hut's paycheck, though pathetic, kept the lights on. But that week, that final shift, I still replay every second of it like a movie I can't turn off. Backstory, ultra-realistic, engages audience. I started working at the Pizza Hut in North Creek, a small, half-boring, half-sketchy town, tucked between two highways in upstate New York. The store was one of those hybrid ones, takeout counter in the front, a tiny dine-in section with booths that squeaked when anyone even breathed, and a kitchen that always smelled like garlic butter mixed with burnt crust. My manager, Rex, was a chill guy with a buzz cut that he pretended made him look younger. He'd always be like, "Man, don't even stress. We're all surviving out here." And honestly, surviving was the right word. Everyone who worked with me was scraping by. Servers trying to pay rent, cooks trying to keep their kids fed, drivers like me trying to outrun reality. But the one person who made every shift better was Lena, the other driver. She was wild, funny, talked too much, and told stories that always started with, "Okay, don't judge me, but..." We weren't dating, but there was something easy between us, something safe. She'd flick my ear and say, "Stop being all tense, Jay. You're like a walk-in panic attack." And I'd pretend I wasn't smiling like an idiot. That week she was off visiting her aunt, leaving me with double the deliveries. "Good money," Rex had said. "Yeah, right. Good money if you didn't get shot, robbed, or followed. All things that happen to drivers around here." Still, I'd done this job for a year and figured nothing truly bad would ever happen to me. God, I wish I hadn't been so sure. I was wiping down the counter when Rex yelled from the kitchen, "Yo, Jay, you up for one more run? Big order." I looked at the clock. 11:42 p.m. We closed at midnight. "Come on, man," I groaned. "No one orders $70 a pizza this late unless they're high, drunk, or trying to rob someone? Rex popped his head out. Bro, it's 3 specialty pies. Extra toppings. They paid online. Easy drop-off. Tip looks solid. Don't be dramatic. I sighed. Fine, but if I disappear, tell my mom I loved her. Sure thing, Romeo. Now move. I grabbed the insulated red bag, pushed through the front door, and stepped into the night. North Creek always felt different after midnight. Quieter, colder, like the whole town was holding its breath. My beat-up 2004 Honda Civic rattled to life like it needed prayer more than gas. I plugged the GPS into the cracked windshield mount. Destination, Elmwood Terrace, aka the side of town people warned you about. Perfect, I muttered. Exactly where I want to die. The drive, real pacing, slow burn fear. The streets were mostly empty, just the occasional distant siren bouncing between buildings. I passed the Taco Bell that never closed, the 7-Eleven where teenagers pretended to shoplift for TikTok, and the gas station where the night shift cashier always looked like he was seeing ghosts. 15 minutes in, the neighborhoods got darker. Streetlights flickered like they were on life support. Houses looked abandoned even when they weren't. A couple guys stood on a corner staring as I drove past, hoodies up, hands in pockets. I swallowed hard. Just drop the pizza, take the tip, go home, I told myself. The GPS finally said, arrived. The house was small, 2 floors, porch light half dead and blinking. No car in the driveway, no sound, no movement. But the porch light was on. I took a breath, grabbed the pizzas, and walked up the wooden steps that groaned under my weight. Knock. Silence. Knock again. Then, the door opened instantly. Not like someone came to the door, like someone was already there, waiting. A man stood inside, mid-30s, dark hoodie, shaved beard. His expression was flat, unreadable. Half the door was blocking him, but as soon as his eyes scanned the pizza bags, he swung it wider. That's when I saw it. A gun, right there, in his right hand, hanging at his hip, but not hidden. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like my bones vanished. Yo, hey man, it's just your order, I said, my voice cracking like I was 12. He didn't respond. He just called over his shoulder, Oye, Aki. 2 more men appeared behind him. Both Latino, both built, both staring at me like I was already dead. Before I could blink, one grabbed the pizza bag from my hands. The guy with the gun stepped closer and said in broken English, "Give me everything you got." My throat tightened. Okay, look, I'm not fighting you. I reached for my wallet with shaking hands. Gave it to him. Phone. I handed that over too. He grabbed my wrist suddenly, hard, and tore off the beat-up watch my uncle had given me. Not expensive, but sentimental. I didn't dare protest. Then the man flipped open my wallet. He pulled out my ID. He read my address. His lips curled into a sick smile. You talk? You call cops? We come to your house. We kill you. We kill your family. Understand? My knees almost buckled. Yes. I won't say anything. Just let me go, please. One of them shoved me so hard I flew backward off the porch. I hit the ground, palms scraping raw against the concrete. My legs instantly stung as the gravel tore open my knees. The door slammed shut. Lights off. Gone. I was alone on the sidewalk, bleeding, shaken, trying not to vomit. I wanted to scream, cry, run. But all I could do was get up, stumble to my Civic, and slam the door behind me like it would protect me. I didn't drive back to Pizza Hut, didn't call Rex, didn't think. I just drove home. The confession to my parents, emotional realism. When I walked in, my mom was still awake on the couch watching some cooking show rerun. She looked up and immediately frowned. Jay, baby, what happened? Why are you shaking? I tried to pretend I was fine, but my voice cracked. Mom, I got robbed. My dad, who'd been half asleep in the recliner, jumped up. What? By who? Did they hurt you? I showed them my scraped knees, my trembling hands, and I told them everything. My mom gasped and covered her mouth, tears welling instantly. My dad's face turned cold, not confused, not scared, angry. He disappeared into his office and came back with his old flip phone, the one he only used for people who mattered, as he put it. He called someone and said, "I need a favor. We have a situation, serious one. Send a unit. No, send a team." That's when I remembered something I always overheard but never asked about. My dad had friends in the police department, real connections, the kind you didn't brag about, the kind you only used when things got bad. And tonight, things were bad. The raid, high-tension realism. I wasn't allowed to go. Dad said absolutely not, but we heard everything through his police friend calling back in updates. They surrounded the house with a full squad, unmarked cars, 2 cruisers, and a K9. They knocked, no response. They breached. Inside were 2 of the men who robbed me. The third, the gunman, had fled. The one with the gun? His name was Luis Rigo Marvera. He had 4 prior felony convictions: armed robbery, assault, drug trafficking, home invasion. My blood ran cold hearing that. The 2 men arrested got sentenced, one for 5 years, the other longer because of a prior strike. But the gunman, gone. No trail, no car, no phone, no sign he ever existed. For months I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside made my chest tighten. A footstep near the window, a gate clang, a whisper of leaves. My dad tried reassuring me. He'd be stupid to come back. He knows we have connections. Maybe, but stupid people with guns do a lot of things. One night around 2 a.m., I swear I heard someone walking along the side of our house. Slow, purposeful. I froze completely. Another night, my bedroom window rattled like someone was testing it. Another night, the backyard gate creaked open and shut. Open and shut. Open and shut. Maybe it was wind. Maybe it was a raccoon. Maybe it was my imagination, trauma making ghosts out of sounds. Or maybe he came back, just to look, just to make sure I remembered. And I do. Every night. Because the part no one tells you is worse than the robbery itself isn't the moment a gun is pointed at you. It's the moment you realize the person who held it is still out there, breathing, watching, knowing your name, knowing your address. And that man, that ghost with a gun, he haunts me more now than he ever did on that porch. Sometimes I wake up sweating, convinced he's standing at the foot of my bed. Sometimes I dream he rings the doorbell again. Sometimes I dream he never left town. And sometimes I'm not sure it's a dream at all. I never planned on staying at Pizza Hut as long as I did. When I first walked into the Pizza Hut on Fairmont Drive, I was 19, broke, exhausted, and trying to hold my life together with duct tape and hope. The manager, Mr. Riker, hired me on the spot because, as he put it, you look like someone who won't complain even when everything goes to hell. He wasn't wrong. Back then, the job felt simple. Take orders, box pizzas, make deliveries, smile, repeat. But people don't tell you how weird things get after 11 p.m., how neighborhoods feel different, how strangers suddenly act like characters from a fever dream, how one wrong delivery can change your life. I didn't realize any of that until the night everything broke open. The same night I met a customer who should have never opened his door, and I should have never walked through it. But to understand why I walked into that house, why I ignored every red flag, why I didn't just quit that damn job right then and there, you need to know what led me to the brink. Backstory. For real engagement, true emotional build. My mom had just been hospitalized after a sudden collapse at work. Doctors said it was stress, exhaustion, maybe anemia. But bills were bills, and Pizza Hut was the only job hiring fast. I was already working double shifts. I barely slept. I kept telling myself it was temporary. On top of that, my older brother, Kellen, had left home a year earlier after getting mixed up with the wrong crowd. Drugs, fights, disappearing for weeks. I'd go months without hearing his voice, and when I did, it usually wasn't good news. So I took every shift I could to help Mom pay for medication. I covered co-workers who bailed. I drove deliveries no one else wanted. By late spring, around the second week of May, I was so used to exhaustion that it felt normal. Nights blurred together, faces blurred together. But the house I delivered to that night, I will never forget that door, or the man behind it, or what he made me do. The night of the incident, it was a Saturday, always the craziest day of the week. Rain had been coming down since noon, hard, sideways, windshield blurring rain that made the parking lot look like it was sinking. By the time 11 p.m. hit, the whole staff looked dead. Flour on our hair, sauce stains on our shirts, voices cracked from shouting over ovens. I was leaning by the prep counter, waiting, praying that no last-minute orders would come in. "Yo, Jared," said Lynn, one of the cooks, nudging me with her elbow. "If you get one more delivery, I swear you're sleeping in that damn car tonight." "I swear I'm gonna just fake fainting," I muttered. She laughed. Mr. Riker didn't. He stormed out of the back office and barked, "Phones better stay quiet for 10 minutes. That's all I need to close on time." The universe heard him and decided to prank all of us. The phone rang. A private number. Lynn groaned. Riker glared at me. "Answer it," he said. "But it's private." "You want ours or not?" So I picked up the phone. "Pizza Hut Fairmont, this is Jared. How can I help you?" Loud music blasted through the speaker, bass shaking, people yelling, some kind of distorted cheering. Then a man's voice. "Yeah, let me get 6 extra large pepperoni pizzas, with mushrooms, all of them, and extra sauce. Don't screw that part up." 6 pizzas, right before closing. Even Lynn said, "Jesus, man." I forced a customer service smile into my voice. "Okay, sir. Can I get your address?" He told me. A place I'd never delivered to. Ridgeview Hollow. I froze for half a second. That road was famous for being isolated as hell. Long, wooded, no streetlights, bad cell service. People joked it was the perfect place to get murdered. And yet, bills were bills. I typed in the address, payment details, special instructions. "All right, sir," I said. "Delivery will take around 40 minutes. Make it 20, he snapped. "My guests are starving. We'll do our best. And don't forget the mushrooms." He hung up. The drive. The 6 pizzas came out steaming hot. I packed them carefully in the warmer bags, grabbed the receipt, and jogged out into the rain. As I drove deeper into Ridgeview Hollow, my GPS kept flickering. Trees bent over the road like giant ribs. Water pooled everywhere. The wipers could barely keep up. "This is some horror movie crap," I muttered. The radio crackled, lost signal, typical. By the time I reached the driveway, I felt a knot in my stomach. The house was huge, 3 stories, old, with a wraparound porch. Party lights flashed inside. Shadows moved behind windows. But something was off. There were no cars outside, no party noise, no people, just the faint thump of music inside. I grabbed the pizzas and walked toward the porch. The door creaked open before I even reached it. A man stood there, mid-20s, gaunt face, eyes too wide, like he hadn't slept in weeks, dark circles under his eyes, a trembling smile. "You the pizza guy?" he asked. "Yes, sir." "You didn't forget the mushrooms, did you?" "No, sir." His smile twitched. "Good. Come in. Put them on the table." I hesitated. Rain soaked my hoodie. The air felt wrong. But he was blocking the doorway, and I had 6 pizzas in my arms. "What, scared?" he teased. "It's just a reunion party, man. Don't be weird." I forced a laugh and stepped inside. The living room. The moment I turned the corner, my breath caught. There were over 60 mannequins arranged around the room, full-sized, human-like, dressed in clothes like real people, hoodies, jeans, dresses, jackets, Some were sitting, some standing. Some posed like dancers or partygoers. My shoes froze to the carpet. Are those my guests?" the man said behind me. I spun around. He shut the door. The click echoed like a gunshot. You running some kind of art thing?" I laughed nervously. "They're not mannequins," he whispered. I swallowed. "Sir, where should I?" He stepped closer. "That one," he pointed. "That's Jonas. He likes pepperoni the most. Feed him." My heartbeat slammed against my ribs. Feed him?" He nodded slowly. "Go on, pick up a slice. Feed Jonas." My hands shook as I opened a box. I lifted a slice toward one of the mannequins wearing a flannel shirt. The man leaned in close behind me. "Say hi to him," he whispered. "Hi, Jonas." Louder. "Hi, Jonas." "Good," he whispered. Then I felt it. Something cold and sharp pressed into my lower back. I didn't dare look, but I knew. A gun. "Feed him," he said calmly. I raised the slice to the mannequin's unmoving mouth and tapped it awkwardly. Pepperoni fell. Mushrooms slid. Sauce smeared. My breathing turned shallow. "That's not Jonas," the man snapped suddenly. "That's Floyd. You blind or something?" He shoved me so hard I stumbled forward. "Jonas is the one in the denim jacket. Use your eyes." I'm sorry, I didn't." "Shut up," he hissed. He grabbed the gun properly now, no longer poking me with it, and pointed it at the mannequin I had touched. Without warning, bang! The gunshot was deafening. He shot the mannequin's face point blank. Plastic shards scattered everywhere. I screamed. "That's what happens when you don't respect my guests," he shouted. My legs buckled. He grabbed my collar and shoved me toward the denim jacket mannequin. "That's Jonas. Now feed him." I grabbed another slice, my hands shaking violently. "Please, man, I don't want any trouble." "You want to go home?" he said. "Yes." "Then show respect." I pressed the pizza slice to the mannequin's face, breathing hard. The man leaned in again. His breath was warm, sour, wrong. "He likes sauce," he whispered. "Give him more." My stomach twisted. I smeared the pizza across the mannequin's face. "Good," he murmured. "Now, lick it off." My heart stopped. "What?" "You heard me. Clean him up with your tongue." "Sir, please." "Do it, clown," he screamed, pressing the gun to the back of my head. I gagged as I leaned forward and touched the warm tomato sauce with my tongue. The cardboard taste, the grease, the humiliation. He laughed. "Oh, that's good," he whispered. "Jonas appreciates it." I felt tears burning in my eyes. "Please, please let me go." "Oh, you can go," he said, "if you promise something." "Anything," I said immediately. "You'll deliver my next order personally." I promise." He smiled wide, too wide, then threw a handful of cash at me. "Get out." I didn't wait. I ran, sprinted out the door into the rain, jumped into my car, locked the doors, shaking uncontrollably. As I reversed down the driveway, I looked up at the porch. He was standing there, motionless, watching, smiling. The next day I went into work pale, exhausted, barely functioning. Lynn saw me and said, "Dude, you look like hell. What happened?" But I couldn't speak. Not yet. I walked to the manager's office. "Riker," I said quietly, "we need to talk." He didn't even look up from his paperwork. "If this is about last night, save it. We're short-staffed today." "No, seriously," I said. "That guy who ordered 6 pizzas, he pulled a gun on me. He made me do things. Shoot, he shot one of his mannequins." Riker held up a hand. "Okay, stop. Stop right there." His tone changed, not sympathetic, annoyed. "You have ID?" he asked. "What?" "For the cops, if you want to file something." I don't know." "Look," Riker sighed. "We all get weird customers. Occupational hazard. Don't make drama. I need you on drive-through today." "That's it?" I shouted. "He pulled a gun on me. He threatened." "Lower your voice," Riker muttered. "Last thing I need is corporate breathing down my neck." I couldn't believe it. I had almost died, and my boss was worried about corporate. I walked out of the office and leaned against the soda machine, shaking. Lynn approached quietly. "You okay?" she asked. "No," I whispered. "You want to go home?" "Yes." "Then go." But right as I picked up my keys, the phone rang. Riker yelled, "Jared, answer the damn phone." I froze. The number flashing on the caller ID made my stomach flip. Private number, just like last night. I reached for the phone slowly, hands trembling. "Pizza Hut Fairmont, this is Jared." A familiar voice whispered, "Don't forget the mushrooms." I felt the blood drain from my face. Lynn looked at me. My hands shook. My knees felt weak. The line stayed silent for a few seconds. Then the man laughed softly. "See you soon, pizza boy." The call disconnected. My breath hitched. I dropped the phone, and that was when I realized he wasn't done with me, not even close.